right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with Providence MBA, and we're going to get started here right now. We've got a lot of information we're going to try to get out to you just as quickly as possible. So again, for those that are attending this afternoon, thank you for joining us, and I hope that you actually get a lot. We've got a lot of folks that are already starting to pile in here. And again, my name is Eric Auger with Providence MBA. Today, we're going to be talking about where I can increase my revenue. You are going to enjoy this webinar this afternoon because of my special guest, and we got a lot to get through. And I know that we've got it pegged for 30 minutes. So if we go over a little bit, forgive us. I think you're going to like all the things that we're talking about here today. Now, there is a question box. So if at any time you want to ask us a question, feel free just to pop that in over there, and we'll do our best to get all the questions answered. So look, without any further ado, let's get started here on the webinar this afternoon. So, for the next 30 minutes, if you can just silence your phones and, don't jump in on your emails, just kind of give us your attention here for the next 30 minutes. Hopefully, again, you can get a lot out of it. Again, I'm Eric with Providence MBA. We're a medical billing company, a revenue cycle management company. We're based here out of Texas, so we are actually helping doctors all over the country. But, for this year, the next year, we're really focusing on working with our doctor clients here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and throughout Texas. And then we're expanding out even further. So we're looking forward to working with some of our docs and some of those offices there. Folks, we know that you do medicine, we do cash flow. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Here's our website if you'd like to go check us out. It's providencemba.com. And obviously, you can go check us out there. Now, before I introduce to you our special guest, I'm going to tell you about, we are doing a webinar special today. So hang on towards the end. This offer will go through October the 15th. And the reason is that that's a couple of days before we do our next webinar in our webinar series for revenue cycle management within the office. So pay attention toward the end. We're going to share with you about our special offer. And that special offer, again, is going to be provided both by Providence MBA and MediQuick Physician Services. Again, I've already introduced myself. You should see me on the camera there. My name is Eric Auger. I'm the owner of Providence MBA. And let me introduce to you Tamara. Tamara Lamer, she is going to be my special guest, and I think she's already on here. Tamara, are you there?
Yes, I am, Eric. Good to be here today.
Oh, thank you for joining me. We're going to listen. We've got so much information I know that we're going to try to get through in the next few minutes here. But Tamara, tell me just really quickly about your business, when you got started, and where you are today.
Oh, you bet. Thanks, Eric. Well, MediQuick's been in business. We'll be celebrating 20 years here in just a couple of months. It's hard to believe, but we've done a lot of things over the years. We've entered into different areas, but all associated with revenue, compliance, maximizing the potential for physicians and other providers to get the most possible cash flow, just like you're talking about in their practice. And we do that through different services. We provide prospective and retrospective coding reviews. We also have worked in association with the government, the Office of the Inspector General. We've done some reviews for them as well. We work with large groups, small groups. We help practices as they begin and get started. We work with them if they're struggling to try to find those holes out there. But our focus and our goal is to help providers get the maximum return for the investment of their hard work. So I think you and I have similar goals.
We certainly do. Matter of fact, I think we'll either have some folks on the webinar today or be listening later. I know that there's a big trend, Tamara, for some doctors to kind of go more of a direct pay. And I know that there's some areas where we can help them as well. So even if you're not doing insurance reimbursements right now, there are some things, I believe, Tamara, that we can actually help some of those doctors. So, pay attention, and we'll see what we can do to help you out here.
You bet. You bet, Eric.
Yeah. Listen, as I was preparing for the webinar for the last couple of weeks, I've been noticing that we've got what I call healthcare's endangered species. It's the independent doctor.
Right.
And I've saw some of the latest information, and we're going to get into this, but folks, you've got to understand that Tamara and I, both of our businesses, are wanting to help doctors just like you, whether you're an office manager or your doctor is independent, whether you're taking insurance or not taking insurance. We are here to help support the independent doctor, because this publication just came out May the 6th, And Tamara, you and I were talking about this just a couple of days. This is the first time in American history that employed physicians now outnumber independent doctors. What say you on that one?
Wow, that's interesting. And it really is not surprising though, because we unfortunately see too many times the back end of things. We see it after the providers have already gotten into some situations where their practice is being challenged, perhaps even their longevity is being challenged. And as a result, it becomes a very serious situation where they have to make some big decisions. Are we going to continue to stay in business? Are we going to merge? Are we going to become part of a larger group? And we really like to capture these opportunities before they get to that point. Just like a physician would like to treat a patient before they get real sick, we like to work with them before they get to that point. But unfortunately, we do see it. And that's because they can be amazing physicians, but they just don't understand the complexities of the business side.
So, and I know you and I have had some conversation about that, because again, I know that I'm running into more and more doctors who are not taking insurance, and it's because they feel like they just can't get those reimbursements. But I think there are some opportunities that they could be missing out on. And I know that there's some fear because again, they may not feel like they got that support either in their office. And that's why a lot of doctors get out of independent practice and they go to hospitals or they go to strict cash pay. So there are some opportunities here that I would encourage some doctors to continue to keep looking in.
I agree, Eric. Yes.
And I know that this one came out a few years ago, obviously about Obamacare, and the article came out about in 2013. And I've got down there at the bottom where it's referenced to. So for those that would like a copy of today's webinar, I can certainly get that out for you so you can have where you can go reference these. But Obamacare is shoving doctors out of private practice. And I just took the first couple of little segments of his article here. He first went to dinosaurs, then the dodo. Are physicians in private practice next on the path of extinction? It says the trend shows the numbers of physicians practicing privately are steadily dropping, and we know that. And some blame Obamacare for pushing doctors out the door. Is this an accusation based on fact or fantasy? I think it's a little bit of both. Again, we've kind of touched on some of the things, and some of the things we're going to touch on today can, again, actually help save what I like to talk about, the independent doctor for our neighborhoods.
And Eric, just to touch on that real quickly, it's really more complicated than even that. I mean, there's lots of different facets that can tie into the challenges, and certainly some of that legislation can be a part of it, but the whole process is just so complicated, and it needs to be in the hands of professionals. And that's the thing. Physicians and advanced practitioners are trained to treat illnesses, and that demands their focus, and they just can't keep up with the billing and the coding changes that are constantly going on out there.
Yeah, and especially if you've got someone that's in-house and they're maybe doing your billing, but then they're also getting assigned to other things. We know that happens. And then they're not able to keep up with what we're able to keep up, because this is what we're doing this is what we do every day. Billing,
well, it's
coding,
true. Yes.
And what you do in the coding aspect and keep up with it, because you help us even with our doctors, even from a billing company. So, I mean, we're working hand in hand.
We really do, yes.
I got a couple of facts here. Now, this first one here, I'm going to tell everybody this is not a scientific poll. Okay, so that's just what it is. But the fact is that most of us as patients, we would truly like to see an independent physician because we feel like they think a little bit outside the box sometimes. But what I did an online poll just asking the question. Again, I know that it's not scientific, and I know it's not thousands and thousands of votes, but I simply put this out there, Tamara. Self-employed or corporate doctor, when it comes to personal health care, do you prefer to see a physician who are self-employed, who typically own their own practice in your community, or do you prefer to see a physician who works at a local hospital or corporation? And again, it's overwhelmingly, now again, I know it's not scientific, it's just some of my friends, some of the people that know who we are. But, I'm sure everybody would like to see an independent doctor. And again, I'm not discounting doctors at our hospitals. I'm glad for our doctors in the hospitals because we need them as well. So there should be somewhat of a balance here.
Right, right, and that's quite interesting. And the people that tied into your poll, I mean, that those are the patients, those are the people. So it doesn't matter if it's
Yeah.
scientific or not; it's accurate. And patients who have had a long-standing relationship with their providers are
Hmm.
going to see significant changes when that crossover occurs from an independent practice to a large group. They just are, and
Right.
patients want to be known personally. They want to be treated as an individual. They want to put their trust in their healthcare provider. It's a very important relationship in their circle, and they don't want to compromise. And I have to say that the physicians I work with feel the same way. They want to have a personal relationship with their patients. It's just not always possible.
It's not always possible.
That's right.
And I spoke with a doctor here in the North Fort Worth area just this last week, talking about that very thing. And there is that challenge between, corporate groups and then being that personal doctor for that patient. It's a tough challenge for the physicians too. And so we
Yes.
completely understand. Fact number 2, and this is again from a lot of doctors that I talked to already, and I know you too. Doctors do not have to resort to becoming an employee to stabilize their revenue. And so I've just got this here because think of this as a billing team, coding team, HIPAA, your law team, financial advisors. What we're doing between Tamara and I, we are building a network here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for doctors and office managers to feel very comfortable working with us because we can point you in the direction that you might need some help with HIPAA or a financial advisor or a coding team or a billing team. We are pulling this together. So just think of us as that back office at a hospital that has all of this at your disposal so that it keeps you independent. That's why we're here. So that's fact number 2.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Eric, because those 4 teams, as you will, those staff components, they have a direct, immediate, and ongoing impact, good or bad, on a practice revenue and success. And it's just not an area to compromise the talent and the experience of those folks. It's very important.
You bet. And we're here locally, and we're here to help serve you. And again, even if you're out of town or somewhere else, we would still like to work with you. So that distance doesn't matter, especially in today's age. I mean, look what we're doing today. What would normally take us a hotel to do, we're here with everybody and be able to work.
That's great.
This is awesome.
Yes, it is.
All right. So again, we're going to try to keep this as short as possible. So we got 3 steps to increase your revenue now. So we're going to go through these fairly quickly. Again, if you got any questions, feel free to put those in the question box. I'll kind of monitor those as we go along. But we're going to take it in a 3-step process here of some things that you can do now, between now and the end of the year, to find where that money is. Number 1, first of all, we have to say this as our disclaimer. First of all, there are no magic pills that will fix the revenue overnight. Would you agree to that, Tamara?
Oh, I absolutely would. One of my favorite sayings is success is a journey, not a destination. We are not, there is no end point in this because, first of all, it's going to take us a little while to get there, to figure out all the pieces. And then we have to maintain it. It's not enough to fix it. We have to maintain it to continue that success. But the good news, Eric, is that it can be fixed. It can be turned around. There's an answer to every one of these problems.
You bet. Because again, we know that not everybody got here overnight. Now,
right.
It almost sounds like we're a doctor because when we go to the doctor and the doctor tells me, Eric, you got to lose some weight, and I want to lose it like overnight, he's going to say, you didn't get there overnight. So what is it going to take? A little time, a little determination. So here we go. Here's the first step. Now, doctors and office managers and everybody, you're going to see some similarities of what we're talking about here because this is a lot what you do in your own office. Number 1, get an examination. Get an audit done. Now, Tamara, we know that the word audit puts everybody into panic right off the bat.
Right. It really does, Eric. Audit is more of a regulatory term, such as something that's mandated or a dictated requirement. But I prefer to look at it as more of a preventive or elective service or an examination of your current practices. So I think a more favorable term is a medical record review. Yep. The goal is to identify the problem before the payer does. And so we've got to get that review done. Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, it's like when we go to the doctor, I know that we may not be feeling well, we're hurting, and all we want the doctor is do to fix us. Again, before he or she can do really anything, they got to do what they do for us, which is a SOAP note. That's exactly what we have to do.
Yeah.
In its essence, with you as part of your that team. So think of us as coming in, looking subjectively over whatever thing's going on in your practice. We're going to look at the objective parts of it. We're going to do an assessment, and obviously we're going to do a plan. So think of it as your SOAP note for your financial world here, because you need to see what you've been missing. Tamara, you've been hit with it. I've been hit with it. All of a sudden, a doctor is panicked because they look at their numbers, especially as we kind of start closing out the year. They go, Tamara, I'm not making as much as I did last year. What's wrong?
Right, right. And you're right. That's very common because they start looking at those numbers. And the best practice here, of course, is to be proactive. We want a proactive approach to this situation. We want to identify opportunities to, increase their billing outcomes and be compliant. We like to say, let's keep the money once we get it for the services that they're currently billing or missed opportunities, services that they could be billing. So the only way to know that is to do that examination, to do that audit.
You're right. And then we can find not only you could be doing everything correct and a lot of other different things that we can actually identify as maybe even some ancillary services that you could literally add into your service, into your practice, that can actually help increase a little bit of revenue. Some things that you may be, farming out to somebody else. So we can kind of take a look at it, give those suggestions. Obviously, at the end of the day, you make those decisions. Step number 2, this is the hardest thing for even us as patients, accept the results. That's the big thing right there.
Right, accept the results. We don't like to take that spoonful of medicine, do we, Eric? No. So the goal of the result is to effect change. The provider community has to see that this is a positive pathway to getting healthy revenue, and it may require some changes, just like it would with you and I if we were trying to improve our health. It may require changes in operations, in your electronic health record, your staff, your documentation. I mean, there could be lots of things that have to change, but they have to change. Things don't change, Eric, we change. So the providers have to be willing to initiate and approve those changes that will be a result of the audit.
So what has been your best practice? I mean, because I know you've worked with offices, again, for the last 20 years. We work with practices that are small independent practices, group practices. I know you've worked with some hospitals here in town. So what has been your best practice for once you've done your analysis on your codes? What has been some of your best practices that some of your doctors have put into practice immediately?
Well, immediately we look at, we start with the small things that we can fix, and then we work our way on up because, just like if you were trying to pay off some debt, you might start with the small things and work your way to the big things. So it's always good because you can see some results. So we're going to look for those little ways that we can identify. And, Eric, to be honest, it's staggering. The difference between, for example, most of the folks out there know what an E&M service is. Sure. And the difference between a level 3 and a level 4 evaluation management visit is about $45. And that's not bill charges, Eric. That's your reimbursement rate from the CMS fee schedule. And if you take that $45 times 10 patients per day, which is way understated, times 20 days per month, which we know they work more than 20 days per month, that's $9,000 per month, $108,000 per year that we can affect with one change. That's just to make sure that your documentation supports a level 4 instead of the 3 that you're more comfortable billing. We start there. I
mean, so folks, you can see that, and then we're going to get into, I know, again, I wouldn't want to get into the weeds here too much, but we know that the codes are changing. The codes are changing here coming in October. Some are going to apply to some of the specialties. Some may not. But again, with all of the different payers out there, whether it's with WellMed or with Blue Cross Blue Shield, whoever it is, we know that each one of those payers have specific ways in which they want to see those codes given to them. And then again, that simple modifier, it could be a simple G code that's missing. it's these little bitty things that can add up to a lot of money at the end of the year. Would you agree to that?
Absolutely. And I'll just give you a very quick case in point. We worked with a pain management group, Eric, that we started doing audits for them. They'd never had any performed, and they could not get their urine drug screens paid. Now, this is a pain management group. It
Right.
ended up, Eric, being one diagnosis code that was incorrect. And when they started using the diagnosis code correctly, no more problems.
There
It
you
can
go.
be that simple. It can be that simple.
So again, accept the results. That's going to show that we're going to identify what the problem is. We're going to resolve the problem. We're going to educate you on what you need to do next. So now together, we can together build a profitable strategy for your business. And again, I want to, right here in the middle, make sure that people understand, you may be working with a doctor and you may be working with a specific billing company outside of us or anybody else. Don't let that hesitate. We're not here necessarily trying to take over your billing. There are a lot of different areas in which we can help. And so you may be even under contract with a doctor or with a billing company or with somebody else, but some of the things that we're going to add into at the end of the webinar, you want to pay attention because it could actually help you right now. Step number 3, then activate the plan. I'm going to just put these up here because, again, for doctors and office managers and everybody else, this is that key part of the SOAP note. We're going to prescribe, order, follow up, and present a care plan for you. So this is where you and I work together. Tamara and I actually work together as a team to pull all this information together and, again, get you and your doctor back on track of increasing that revenue.
And Eric, a big plan has to start with little steps. And, we recommend that, get that training in there. And an audit does not serve any purpose if we don't do something with it. So here we are, we're activating the plan, as you very well said. So we're going to train, we're going to educate, we're going to identify those new work tasks, new workflow, what's working, what isn't, and reevaluate. And I just want to say one thing, assemble your team together, get their input. You've got folks out there on the front line that can give you some valuable input on some changes that could be made. Sometimes we just need to listen. All that together, we can put that plan.
You bet.
Make it work.
You bet. We're here to put it all together. So let's just talk real quickly again, go over what we've just talked about. Number 1, get that examination. And again, we're going to hopefully be able to offer something to you right now that will be very attractive to you for the webinar today. Number 2, accept those results and look at those results just as much as I would want to. If I go get a test done and the doctor comes back and says, Eric, we've got to do X, Y, Z on you. There's that part of accepting that results and then taking that next step and putting that plan into action. Because as much as we want to stay healthy, we want to make sure that you and your doctor are staying healthy on your revenue, especially, again, as you're coming up towards the end of the year. Before we get to anything else, Tamara, and any of the other slides, as we are kind of wrapping up, going into the last quarter of 2019, what should an office manager maybe discussing with their doctor right now at this point of the year?
Well, I think it's important for them to, run some reports. We run our practice off of reports, of course. And so they need to run those reports and see what kind of denials are they getting? Where are they seeing those trends, if you will? Is it by payer? Is it by code? What is it? And you need to identify those before we know how we can fix them. We also need to look at the workflow. Is everyone used to capacity? Are we understaffed? Are we overstaffed? Right. And not only that, but do the resources that we have, having certified coders, you're not going to get me to compromise on that one, Eric, because it would be no different than having your friend down the street that's a really nice person do your business taxes. That's just not going to happen. You want a certified public accountant, you want certified professional coders, and that's where we run into challenges sometimes. They don't want to or can't really go out and recruit those kind of folks. So, having those resources available to them somehow is really important. But just looking at all those things, because somehow we've got to fix whatever didn't work in 2019. You keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. You got to fix that trend.
Yep. Sounds like, sounds like a problem.
Yes, it is a problem.
and I think you said it right. Having a certified professional coder to look it over, because it's your results and what your findings are that can actually help a doctor even if in the event that at some time, because I know you've worked with some doctors, clinics, and hospitals who have actually gone through some pretty major audits there,
Yes.
and you've been able to help them tremendously.
Yes, we have. We're called many times after CMS has come in and they've done some audits and things like that. So we understand those concerns, and that's why we like to be proactive, Eric.
And then one more thing, you suggest at least once a year, correct, to get a full-fledged audit, correct?
I do suggest, but it's not just my suggestion. The OIG actually in their voluntary compliance plan, which, you know, when the government says it's voluntary, it's really not. It's their requirement, just saying it in a nice way. But they have 7 elements, and one of those elements is to perform an annual audit. Right. And therefore, it's really not just a suggestion. It is a requirement. And then also included in that compliance plan is training, because they know if you are performing reviews, if you're training folks, you're less likely to have erroneous claims, you're less likely to have overcoding, and you're less likely to have sanctions. So they're trying to protect the Medicare Trust Fund, and that's how they do it. So yeah, I certainly agree with all of that.
You bet. Well, listen, I'm going to kind of wrap up with this, because I was also reading another article, and it was kind of putting a damper on this about doctors being interested in profits. I'm going to put my personal spin on it. I want my doctor, Tamara, you and I talked about this last couple of days. We want our doctors to be interested in profit, and here's why.
Right.
It's because you and I both have families. This is a picture of my recent family. We just had a family reunion here at my house not too long ago.
That's beautiful.
I've got young kids. I've got older folks here. Everybody from 3 years old to 84 years old. And we all need a good doctor. And again, we're kind of ones that are interested in those independent doctors. So I want to work with you. I want to partner with you. So even if you're on the webinar today, you're not a doctor, you're not an office manager, you may be a financial advisor or CPA, you know somebody that you know a doctor that may be struggling a little bit. Tamara and I are here to help with that. Here's some of the services from MediQuick. So just a little quick overview. So if some of you doctors are needing new practice setup, we've got some doctors that are coming out of the employment from hospitals. You need to get that all set up again. Again, Tamara can help you with that. She's going to talk about workflow, medical record auditing, the certified coding service, which I'm going to mention here just momentarily, and then the consulting. So let's quickly talk about this, because again, Tamara, I took this basically right from your website, and I'm going to read this, and it says, did you know that improper, inaccurate, and non-compliant coding is the main contributor to federal audits and loss of billions of dollars of recoupment of funds for improperly paid services? And here's the reasons why. These are how we're here today.
That's right, Eric. And, Medicare actually does what's called a CERT audit, comprehensive error rate testing, annually. And those results are publicly displayed. You can go on the CMS website and Google for search the CERT audit, But as a result of that, you can see from those statistics that it's the missing documentation that is the big contributor to the main deficits that they see. And, that can be as simple as one code. It could also be, sequencing problems with your diagnosis codes. What diagnosis codes can we use? Which ones can't we? Wrong use of advanced practitioners. There's lots of things that can contribute to, those incorrect, erroneous codes. But absolutely, documentation is something, and it's so easy to fix. It's just, they just need to know. They just need to know. Right.
And we're here to help out with that. So again, we want to make sure that you're getting every single thing. All right. So for those that stayed here, I'm going to tell you thank you. I think everybody that logged on is still here this afternoon. So I appreciate you hanging in here. So here's the webinar offer. And again, I know I've got some folks here that are not in medical offices. So, if you're a financial advisor and you're working with a doctor or a CPA or an attorney, or you're an office manager, listen closely to this, because this is something you could actually utilize and get your doctor's attention pretty quickly. So here's the offer. What we're here to offer today is an E&M audit on CPT and DX codes with a feedback report. That's a 10-chart offer that MediQuick and Tamara's group is offering. Plus, we at Providence MBA will do a full practice analysis. So it's kind of just taking a quick snapshot. Think of this as your SOAP note. We normally do all of this as a combined cost at $1,000. However, between now and October the 15th, going to run this offer for the next 3.5 weeks. You can get the whole thing for $200. That's for both reports. So that's your E&M audit and CPT codes with feedback report and the full practice analysis for a combined total of $200 for both of those. You know, we're here to help. Tamara, you want to add any more to that?
Absolutely. I think that we've got to start somewhere, Eric, and
Yeah.
I really highly recommend people take advantage of this because I think they'll be pleasantly surprised at what we can identify just in a small probe review like this, areas that they can find improvements. It's really going to be very beneficial.
Yeah, and again, it kind of starts with that step one. So remember, whenever we started a while ago, I said step one's got to be listening for here. This is part of that examination. Now, it's not a full blown, but like Tamara says, it's a start. It's just a snapshot. It's just a quick look at what we can help you do. So that will hopefully help you get started here, and at least let you know some of the things that we are able to help you with. Let me share with you. Call me, 817-771-4000, or you can email me at eric@providencemba. I'm going to leave some of this information up here in just a moment, but you can give me a call again. Take down my number, 817-771-4000. For those that are on the webinar, again, you can be able to just get back with me at any given time. As I kind of wrap up here real quickly, I want to let you know that our next webinar that we're having in about 3.5 weeks is on office managers, how you can become the rockstar office manager for your practice. So we're going to have another special guest on here. That's October the 17th. There's the link down there. It's a little bit.ly code there that you can just go put in there. Just type in bit.ly/office rockstar. That'll get you to where you can get signed up for that. Tamara, I'm going to go back over here and just put this offer back up on here. And I know that we've had, I think, just one person drop off. They had to get off right at the end, the bottom. But it looks like there was a question that came in. Who is, Cynthia is asking the question, who is offering the special? Is it MediQuick? It's actually both of us, Cynthia. So it's both Tamara and I pulling this together. So if this will be helpful for you, we would love to be able to work with you. So just give us a call here. If you need to give anybody else a call, obviously contact. If you know Tamara, obviously you can contact Tamara as well. I think that's all the questions for now. Tamara, you got anything else you'd like to kind of wrap up here?
No, not really, Eric. Just have enjoyed very much getting to be with the group today, and hopefully this information was helpful. Looking forward to hearing from some folks so we can see what we can do to help them.
Absolutely. Tamara, thank you so much. I'm going to put our information back up over here and leave this up here for a little bit. But again, give us a call here, 817-771-4000. I'd love to hear from you. We're going to have this on our YouTube page. It'll be up there in probably in the next 24 to 48 hours. So if you know someone who you would want to get this out to, send that out to them. We'd love to talk with them. Folks, it has been my pleasure to have this webinar with you this afternoon. Hopefully it's been helpful for you. Some of you I'd like to follow up with after the webinar in the next couple of days, so I may be touching base with you very soon. Folks, have a wonderful weekend. Hope to see you again on our next webinar series that's coming up in October about how to be a rockstar office manager. We look forward to doing that. Again, my name's Eric with Providence MBA. I've had Tamara on here. Tamara, again, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Eric.
Talking with you. Let's see if there was one more question that came up. Nope, that was it. We got it all. So
all
thank you, Tamara. Y'all have a good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.